Hey internets, and welcome back to Crash Test Gaming. We are playing Arms Trade Tycoon Tanks, and we are continuing on as Rolling Thunder continues to make their tank empire. And it is the 19th of September 1918, so the astute amongst you will realise that time has moved on a bit since the last episode. So I find myself at the end of the episode I just recorded, and unfortunately, my SSD has started to disintegrate, and that had all my footage on for this episode, and it has become corrupted. So I've managed to resurrect this save game, but also my previous save game is also gone. So I'm just going to this episode cover what happened last episode, retrace my steps. Unfortunately, because my SSD is 8 years old, and it decided right now would be a great time to start to lose sectors. If I don't think sectors technically exist in an SSD, but going by the old ways hard drives were made, there's quite a bit of corruption, quite a bit of the data has been lost on it, and I've been told it's going to continue to slowly disintegrate. So I've replaced the drive, and unfortunately I haven't been able to recover all of the footage. As I said, I've recovered this save game. I was unable to recover the previous one, and I've lost a bunch of the footage I recorded, but I'll talk you through what I did, and we can have a look at the results of what I played through. So if we go to the design bureau, is I continued to create some ugly tanks, and the first result of that was the Schneider 2, as you can see here, the Huntsman 2. So this was the Huntsman, but then threw a Girod turret here on top, put the French 27mm gun onto it. So we now have a well frontal armoured little battle bus with a extra piece of AP firing hard attack on it. So that we'll take this for a drive around on the test track to have a look at it. So we'll just go down. So we will start driving. And oops, that was the Hotchkiss 3-pounder I fired off. So the engine sound on this tank is a little bit broken, although we will choose to believe that it is a very stealthy tank and can sneak up on anyone. But the turret gives it an extra bit of hard attack, which makes it useful for a medium tank, because most of them, well, a number of them are only armed with machine guns. So with the hard attack addition to it, it makes it more versatile in the field, able to defend itself against other tanks quite handily. And I won't take this all the way around the course, but we can see that it's quite a nice looking little tank, and the turret gives it a lot more versatility in the game. You can shoot targets as you wish. So we will leave that there, and we'll go on to the next design that was made. So we had a Saint-Chamond that we captured, the Taranis MLE2. Somehow they got this under 17 tons. I still have no idea how it's under 17 tons. It could be that the design that the French had for the hull really had nothing on it, so they were able to strip down the weight completely. It's basically a set of tracks with a gun and a very basic iron hull and engine. As you can see, we're still haven't reverse engineered all of it because we didn't need to make the design. And if we take a look at it here, we named it the Wombat because it's short, squat, and it meanders around like that, rather like the Australian Wombat. It's a rather square in its shape, which it looks a little like the little Wombat. So we put together I'm in production, not design. That would make sense. So we put together the Wombat by putting together a 12-ton hull. We could have saved a lot of weight here and made it out of iron or something, but we didn't. We put in a 4-cylinder engine. You can fit the V12 in this, which is a much better engine, a much bigger engine, but it does weigh 5 tons. And as we captured the Saint-Chamond with only whippet tracks on it, we didn't get the original tracks to reverse engineer, so we couldn't make a very heavy version of it. The best tracks we could put on it were from a Hornet, and as you can see, that makes it very chunky. The original tracks went underneath here, and the Hornet tracks go on the outside of it, which makes it very strong looking, very strong design. And we kept the 75mm cannon, as our only other option was the small French 37mm cannon, which just would have been a bit weird to put that in. So we stuck with the 57mm and put a bunch of machine guns on, and it came in under 20 tons. So this actually meets the design requirements for a 20-ton tank. And with the 75mm, it's got a very strong hard attack, and it's got a very strong soft attack with 4 machine guns. So this is actually a very strong tank for contract fulfillment, and we did very well on a few contracts making the Wombat. Not well enough to fix its defects, but but as you can see, there is a glitch with this tank, as those are the original tracks you can see moving on the inside there. So it retains those original tracks and moves around on them on the test track, while the outer tracks just seems to be added for show, which is a bit weird. It feels quite nice to drive, as being such a large tank and quite a chunky tank, it comes up to speed because of its size. It feels like it's going quite quick, and it's got quite a good turning circle because, again, for its size, its length isn't too large, so it's quite handy. The sound effect for the gun is the same as all of the guns so far. I'll just fire it off, and as you can see, the gun turns quite a large amount for such a big gun in the chassis. So that's a big field of fire for a non-turreted gun, and it has no problems with getting around the course. This one, it completed the test drive very easily when I took it around, and I would have to say, if you could put that gun inside a turret and put it on the front, then you would be onto a winner. But this is one of my favourite tanks. I mean, historically, I think this was the biggest gun in the tank until about 1940, 1941, sometime in World War II, when they started making much larger tanks. This 75mm gun was very large. And we'll leave it there on the course, and we will move on to the next thing that we were doing, which, if we go to research, we can talk about it, because now that we're a fair way through, we have made it to close to the end of research. There's still a few things, especially in weapons, that we need to finish researching. The Vickers machine gun is a big one. Improved AP munitions for the machine guns, and the anti-infantry rounds, which works as a canister shot for cannons did, in that you had lots of, or buckshot for a shotgun, but for a large gun in a tank, I guess is the way you look at it. Just shells out hundreds of small amounts of shrapnel in an anti-infantry round. And just the petrol to finish off in the mobility section, and the two sponsons for the tank, which, after getting the combo sponson, I would probably go a male and a female on the final design for the International, the Mark VIII version of the tank, just because one thing I've noticed in doing the contracts is you don't get the heart attack for two heart attack guns on a tank, so there's no reason to have two male sponsons on a tank. You're far better off, when designing tanks in this game, to go the hermaphrodite tank and put a male sponson on and a female sponson, because the machine guns you add on are additive in that they add together to make your soft power, but the hard power weapons, the hard attack weapons, you get the best one, and that's it. You don't get the second one. The second one doesn't add on to the score. So your best tank for design purposes is to use male and female sponsons wherever possible. I didn't design my tank like that, because I didn't really design it to win a contract or make a score. I'm still winning the contracts with Mark I and Mark V tanks quite easily. But if we go into the design here for the Mark VIII, the hull, which weighs 20 tons, the engine, which weighs just under 5 tons, the Liberty engine, the tracks weigh 10 tons. Everything about this tank is heavy, and it's not that, it being a 45-ton tank, which is 10 tons heavier than our previous tank, you'd think it can take it. No, you cannot put everything on this tank and stay underweight. When you design it and it comes up, if I just put some basic equipment on this tank, you'll see I cannot get away with putting all the machine guns on it. So we are at just over 44 tons. So this is already too heavy, because you can have up to 15 crew on this tank. So once you start adding crew in, it's going to go overweight. So that's with Commander, and that's with, I think, this Mark II cabin here is made out of iron, not out of steel. So as you can see, you still need to make choices about where you want those stats to go, because you cannot afford the best of everything in terms of mass. And we're going to need a ridiculous number of gunners to and we'll need a mechanic gunner for our final position. And that's all our crew fitted in, and we are at 45 tons and 178 kilos. So we are above our mass limit. And there's plenty of room for expendables in this tank. So we can put 3 ammunition types, 2 machine gun types, and the petrol. And that is a huge tank, 34 feet on the tracks. So this was made to cross trenches, and made to, I think, at the bottom of Cambrai, the Germans started making their trenches greater than 2 meters wide just to try and frustrate the tanks. And this is the Allies' answer, just make a longer tank, and they would have huge amounts of brush that the tank would carry on it, and they'd just dump that into the trench in front of it and then cross the trench. So it was a constant battle between the British, who were making the tanks, and the Germans in trying to frustrate the tank design of tanks being able to cross trenches in World War One, and they were just one-upping each other. And this tank had thick enough armour to stop the anti-tank rifle that the Germans developed with K bullets that were made to pierce tank armour. And this never saw combat, though, on the front. By the time it was developed, they were planning on using the Mark VIII for battles in 1919, but the Allies did very well in the Battle of Amiens. My French pronunciation is terrible, and the advances they made for the next 100 days after that managed to bring a close to the war. So these tanks never saw service. The engines were made in America, the hulls were made in America, the gunnery was made in Britain, and they were made to be put together in Britain. The Americans would ship the hull and the engine over, and these were meant to be for the British and American troops on the Western Front. But as I said, never saw service in World War One. They were used as training tanks, and were tanks that still existed in the interwar period, and they were quite massive for the time, the biggest tanks of World War One. But they never saw service, not once. And that is kind of the ultimate tank for building in Arms Tank Tycoon at the moment, because we're waiting on the content patch to bring in interwar tanks between 1918 and 1934, which hopefully will be coming shortly. But we'll take this one to the testing grounds. So I think I actually put 47mm guns in it at the end, just to get it within its weight limit. So, but we'll have a look at it on the testing ground. As you can see, it's a very, very long tank, and it's actually quite quick with the V12 engine. It gets up to speed pretty quickly, like all the tanks in the test drive. They all seem to go 20 kilometers an hour, which is a bit unfortunate. I do wish there was a bit more variation in the performance of the tank engines on the test track, but it is what it is. So this tank gets around the test track quite easily. I managed to complete it with plenty of time to spare, and we have a machine gun. It's got plenty of power to get up slopes. I say that this isn't going to get up the slope now. Okay, so I had no trouble with this the first time round. Oh, and it's stuck. I got around without a problem. I should be able to get myself down from here. No? Oh no, this is embarrassing. I must have come in on a better angle when I drove last time. And now... Hey! Oh, there we go. Managed to get down, and we'll give that another whirl. Up we go, come on. Ah! I do believe the test track is the weakest part of the game at the moment. The Tycoon part of the game is very compelling just designing your own tanks, making your own ugly tanks, but oh, there's a bit of a struggle sometimes on the test track. So the other problem I had with this tank, which I was going to show off, was the length of the tank on the chicane coming up on the next section of the track. Is very difficult to get it through, but it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to get there in today's look. So that's pretty much it for the game. As you can see, we've pretty much, except for a few of the weapons and I think some petrol, we've pretty much maxed out the research. We can build all of the tanks. We've built all the tanks. We've looked at them. There's still some issues with the test track, or maybe it's just showing off our poor tank designs on the test track. Maybe the fault is mine. And if we have a look at the achievement progress, we're a long way from tier 2, which has been set, I think, at such a high number of points. So we purposely can't reach that because it's going to take several $1 trillion to hit that mark in terms of cash. I mean, I've got 10 million sitting here right now, and we are nowhere near it. We once the content patch comes with the further development of the game for the interwar period, it is my plan to come back and start playing it again to show off the content. But for now, we've pretty much covered all the content in the game. So I think this is going to be the last episode of this series, taking a look at the early access of Arms Trade Tycoon tanks. And I set out to make these videos just mainly because I had access to the closed beta, and I noticed online there weren't many videos about it. So I really enjoy the core loop of this game and the tank design facet of this game. So doing a few videos, it was mainly just to get some content out there to make people aware of the game, to hopefully support it in its push for early access, because I'd love to see this game developed further and to cover all the tanks from World War I to the modern day and become a good game. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the episodes that I've made. I might make an episode in the next couple of days just on starting the game, because I've got a few messages from people that have watched the videos saying that they picked the game up and they were going broke in the first couple of months in the first contract. So just some advice on how to spend the first money. I might make a video about that, but otherwise that'll put a bow in the videos until the content patch comes out. However, I have enjoyed the process of making videos for YouTube, so if you guys want to see anything else, just let me know in the comments what game you'd like me to take a look at, what you'd like the channel to take a look at. If there's anything in particular you want, just let me know and I will endeavour to make it happen. So thanks all for being with the channel on this little playthrough. I guess the other thing I might say is I've been looking at picking up a World War I title war hospital. I might pick that up and make some videos about that. Not entirely sure at the moment, but I'd love feedback from you guys and what direction to take things. So everybody, take care, have fun, enjoy your time with Tank Tycoon, and I will see you later. Bye.